Yep. Okay, being 5:30, we'll call this meeting of the Facilities Committee to order. We'll start off with any public input for 3 minutes a person for a total of about 15 minutes. Anybody from the public wish to speak? Apparently not. So with that said, we'll go right to the minutes. And if I could have a motion for an approval of the minutes for June 3rd, please.
So moved.
Could I have a second? Moved and seconded. Any comments from the committee? All those in favor? Okay, 3-0. We'll move on to the agenda. And the first item from the Director of Buildings and Grounds, Ken, what do we got?
So we have had a pretty busy summer, as you can imagine. And also, I'm just returning from a little hiatus. I was gone last week, so I put this report together. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Anyway, I did update our activity bus usage. As you expect, it goes down in the summer, but we did have 24 uses since end of June or middle of June. Got used by summer school and a couple of sporting events through the summer. District-wide, we tackled relining a lot of our parking lots that hadn't been done in the, hadn't been repaved. So you have Franklin, Fuller, the high school, Wheelock, all those parking lot lines also got painted, as well as the ones here on the new pavement that you see. Each summer through the district, we paint. We have a couple of paint crews, so we touched up painting in a lot of classrooms and hallways. Never mind the efforts of the custodians, which in each building gets top to bottom cleaning. Every surface, every nook and every cranny, every piece of furniture gets cleaned and sanitized and refinished if it needs to be. We had an inspection this summer of our underground storage tanks at the middle school, Jonathan Daniels, and high school. A couple of things came up that we've repaired at the high school. And one of the things that came up here at Jonathan Daniels was in relation to our parking lot job. When we were redoing the pavement, they nicked one of our cathodic protection wires. And so we had it repaired, but then it failed the test. So we actually put a whole new system in, brand new, and we are back in compliance with that. That was an added bonus fun job to do this summer that we weren't planning on doing. District-wide in the summer, we take advantage of the empty buildings to conduct some mandated, some annual inspections. So I made a list of everything that I can remember we did this summer. We did our fire extinguishers, our hood suppression systems, the fire alarm systems all get tested, sprinkler systems, panic buttons around the district get tested. We have elevator inspections. All the kitchen hoods are cleaned and inspected. Our gym floors at the high school and middle school resurfaced. And of course, our generators go through their annual testing. Well, they get tested twice a year, but went through a testing this summer. Moving over to Alumni Field, really just the highlight for that field this summer is the lack of rain that we've had this last couple of, month and a half, I should say, is really starting to show it really stresses our fields, and it shows weaknesses in our irrigation system and or deficiencies in our irrigation system pretty quickly, quicker than we could repair them. So I would say that our fields are not as in good a shape as I've seen them coming into the fall sports season, as good a shape as I would like them to be.
Baseball, we don't have to worry about.
Baseball held through just fine, but now we got some burn in A1, so, but unfortunately the football field, even though we treated, repaired, did the best we could, is coming into the season. It usually gets beat up pretty hard, but we usually start the season at least looking pretty lush. And we got a little bit of disease in our fields right now due to the drought and the stress that it's under. It'll bounce back, but we're actively correcting anything that we found. It doesn't take but a week of no rain and an irrigation head that's not working to show, well, that one's not working, and it's usually too late to bounce it back, and that's what's happened here.
Speaking of Alumni Field, the back of the bleachers, the main bleachers at Alumni Field, are pretty ratty shape.
Yeah.
And a lot of paint peeled off, and last thing I'd hate to see is the rot and mold get into some of that wood. Is there any plan on touching up the repainting on that?
Yeah, we repainted it. It's just that needs to be resided on the back. The front and the sides were addressed just a year or two ago, but the back is yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's just T111 pre-treated, basically plywood that's back there right now, sided plywood.
It needs some tender care.
It does. We just allocated money other places that were a little more important to me this year. Then that'll be a project. So we'll put that in
Okay, thank you.
We'll keep that in mind when we come up to budget season.
Appreciate it.
At the high school, I didn't really have too many major projects at the high school this year, which is not always the case. We had a PA system that's still being worked on, so our PA system, towards the end of the school year, was brought to our attention. A couple of rooms were having a hard time hearing, some didn't hear it at all, and as we dug in, we found that it wasn't just the couple of people that said it was quite a bit of rooms that were having a hard time hearing the PA system. So probably for the last month or so, Interstate Electrical, as well as our electrician and our phone company, have been working on what's going on. They've identified quite a few things and made things a lot better. We're almost over the finish line to having it 100%. We've replaced a lot of speakers, rewired a lot of stuff. Certainly can hear it a lot better than you could at the beginning of the summer. The other project that went on was the timeout room or break room inside of 13A, which was a room that got displaced last year when we built those bathrooms. The bathrooms was where this room was. And they needed a little breakout space in the room, so that was constructed this summer with in-house staff. And that was pretty much it that happened at the high school this summer. At the middle school, only thing I have to update is the boardwalk. We still are expecting Peter from the original company that installed it to come and just dress up that area that got washed out. And that from the stormage, the storm drain that took out part of our boardwalk at the end of last year. He's still backed up on a summer project, and I knew he wouldn't come till, he said end of August and September, but that probably meant end of September, beginning of October. I get it, and that's fine. Jonathan Daniels, we redid the parking lot, as I'm sure most of you noticed. That was redesigned. We added some spots in the front, took advantage of some wasted space and added a few spots along the front here. And really our big change is out back, addressing a pattern, a flow, a parking structure that didn't exist before. We extended the parking lot, I think, about 10 feet towards the wood line that way. Kept our fire lane open all the way around the building, and we went back and forth a few times with ideas with our designer, and ultimately came up with what you see out there. Some fencing was added to keep people off the grass, and added, I don't know how many spots, we ended up with 4 or 6 right along the fence line near the playground, which originally wasn't actually planned in the project. So we maximized kind of space that wasn't being used well out back, and really made something that we can now manage and hold people to, where it was kind of a free-for-all back there, as we all know before. The underground storage tank repairs, I already touched on that, but that was a cathodic protection system. We now have 5 new bags. They're sacrificial anode bags that go down in the ground along the tank, and those are what rusts instead of your tank. And so there's a way for them to put electrical current through it and tell if it's working or not. And 2 of them passed. The other 2 that we had were right on the line, so we ended up putting 5 brand new ones in there. So we have a total of 9 down there now. So we should be in good shape. Fuller School, the big project, the HVAC life safety renovations, 2.53, I guess we're calling it, is about 95% done. Tim and I, the architect, the contractor, and the general site supervisor did a walkthrough today, punch list walkthrough. I would say probably one of our better punch list items than we've had through some of these projects. They're very picky little punch list things, and that's what you want. You don't want major issues. It's scuffed paint or a little scratch on something, and we still have some things to finish there, which is like the power feed to the new pump room. There's a new 3-phase line coming up from the poles down at the street. Those aren't run yet. That's kind of on Eversource, waiting for Eversource to do that. Balancing of the new rooftop unit that was put in. The rooftop unit is there and running. It's just not running balanced, meaning it's pushing more air to some places than it really needs to. And so they balance it all out. That hasn't done yet. And our control system is up and running, but we don't have it on our front end. So that's always something that's like the last ticket items. For those of you that aren't familiar with what we actually did there, but these renovation projects focus on life safety, sprinkler systems, ventilation, finishes, casework, Our finished product looks a lot like this room. It's similar woodwork, it's similar paint colors. We do have a different carpet that we pick, but you walk into the classrooms that we've touched over the years and it will remind you of this room. So that's kind of the feel that you get. We use low maintenance products like marmoleum flooring and this new Flotex carpeting that we got. It's a hybrid between a floor tile and a carpet tile. So it's easy, clean, soft, but kind of cleans like a floor tile versus a carpet. Ceilings, paint, new lights, new lighting control, LED lights, new energy management controls, sprinkler system, which is the big part of this. That's the life safety portion. And of course, the rooftop unit that is installed. And then this year, due to the new sprinkler system and pump system, it was a better route to install a new fire alarm system while we're going along with this. So currently we have 2 fire alarm systems that are now talking to each other there. They're not separate, they're together, but as we go down through the building, we are also replacing our existing system. So we'll actually have a new fire system there, which is the first time we've done that. In this system, Tim and I have added mass notification. So thinking ahead of the future and being able to notify building occupants or people coming up to the building that there's a fire, we all know that, but also have some flexibility down the road to be able to notify of a intruder or an active shooter or a dangerous situation to stay away. So those things are being put in, not operational as of right now, but we have those built into the section that we just completed. Moving on to Franklin School, unless you have questions about that. Franklin's big to-do this year was 2 new sections of roofing. So the 3rd story section that you can see from Washington Street, the high up furthest back part was all re-roofed. The chimney, the old chimney that's no longer needed since we did that renovation, was actually brought down below the roof line. So it's not nothing that we have to concern ourselves with wear and tear above the roof line. The gymnasium was the other section. That was an asphalt shingled roof that we did. Both of those are done, completed, and good for 18, 25 years. Wheelock School, we tried to squeak Wheelock School's gym floor into our gym floor resurfacing schedule this summer. As you know, that's a wooden gym floor. That is a sports floor system, just like the gymnasium at the middle school. It's the exact same system that we have there. And we didn't refinish it last year because it was pretty much brand new and installed. But the goal would have been to refinish it this summer. And unfortunately, I just couldn't talk them into doing it in the schedule. As you can imagine, every school district in the state was also refinishing their floors. And she saves room for my big high school, 2 gyms and middle school, but she couldn't squeak in another one. I mean, Dana, her flooring, I should say. But we have it scheduled for the December break. So that'll be a nice little upgrade in the middle of the year. Still looks fantastic, but we want to keep up with it. Simon School, that wasn't another issue that came up. That wasn't a planned issue, but we noticed at the end of this school year there was some erosion, or what appeared to be some erosion around one of the dry wells out back. And so we talked to the contractor that was doing this parking lot to take a look at it for us, and they're typically the same people I hire to replace structures in a parking lot. And it was like peeling back an onion, and before we knew it, we replaced 4 or 5 drywall covers and connected them together and repaved that whole area. So that was a unexpected repair, but has been working well now. What was happening is water wasn't draining correctly and standing in one of the dry wells. They're not connected together, so now they're all connected together so they can work as a team to get rid of the water out back. Behind Simon's is a huge field of pavement, so it needs a place for all the water to go. So that was all done. And then energy updates. This is a quick one. I haven't even talked to Tim about this, so it's going to be a surprise to him too. But I'm working with, we talk about solar and community solar and what we could do. We've, over the last year, quite a bit. And we work with I work with he's effectively an energy broker that helps me acquire our actual electrical supply for the district. We're in a multi-year supply. I hedge some of it, so it means I own, or we've purchased, going to purchase at a certain rate 100% of the power this year, but I've already dedicated 50% for next year and 25 when it's cheap. When it's cheap, that's what we do. Working with them, they've come up with a program that they have where we can actually take advantage of some of these programs that are coming online in New Hampshire that they're offering to municipalities first. And I want to look into this a little further with Tim, but this is the first one that is very cut and dry, very simple, no extra bill, no credit on your bill. It's simply a check in rebate because you used solar power versus the grid power. So this one is very clean. It keeps the structures off of our properties, off of our buildings, but it does allow us to purchase whatever we want, whether, up to 80, 90, 100% of our power from this project. We wouldn't buy 100% because they're, we're saying we'll buy 3 million kilowatts of power each year. And as we work through these renovations and when we eventually get to the high school, we could potentially save enough electricity that we wouldn't even be close to 3 million anymore. So we want to be mindful of our future projects, but we could potentially buy 80% of our power off of solar next year if we wanted. So that's my report. Staffing is pretty good. We are out right now, but have selected a final candidate, so we'll be in good shape just in a couple weeks.
Okay.
For an opening we have.
Any questions so far?
Nope.
That's good? Okay. Okay, moving on to rental waiver requests.
I do not have any.
That's easier to speak about then. Then let's go to other. Anything other you'd like to talk about?
No, I think I would have put it in.
Okay.
I don't think I have anything else.
Other for later? Tim, anything to add?
Paige was hoping to get a little update on our bus contract, our bus provider.
Sure.
I didn't prepare a report, but
Okay.
I can speak to, so we switched our main provider from First Student to Student Transportation of America. They have signed 2 leases. Now one in Westmoreland, who's scheduled to go in front of the planning board. But until now, they do not have a depot. We rented them on the other side of this building some space that we had as a temporary depot and some office space. So I have a contract with them because we needed to put their buses somewhere. So they're currently on site in a large paved area we had in the woods that used to be a playground.
How many buses out here?
We can fit over 22 buses there.
Okay.
I don't know the exact number
Plated
they have there.
security? I mean,
They don't have any of that.
okay.
But the show must go on when we had to start. So we've done a lot. Ken's staff has gone over. We got them into an office. But the goal is for them to move out into their own property where they could have a bay to work on their
Smooth
buses.
transition so far?
No, I would not characterize it as smooth. Although
Okay.
I want to be fair to the company. It was a short timeline, and the start of school is never smooth with any company, whether they've been doing it for 30 years or it's brand new. The start of school is difficult. First couple weeks are always difficult. You don't know. You have a list of kids, but you don't know which ones are going to ride, for example. It's difficult. But no, it's been extremely challenging. They have been responsive. Communication could be a little better. I talk to them often. I've been working with them, but no, it's not smooth. I expect this week to be better than last week, and hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be saying we made a really good decision. But I wouldn't want to judge it on the last week because I want to be fair. It's been really tough.
Okay. What is some of the issues then that you would consider more of the major glitches that the board should really be aware of? I'd like to find out firsthand instead of secondhand.
Well-
Hear it from you rather than from parents.
Yeah, I've heard from a lot of parents. I was with parents. We had kids get on the wrong bus and not show up at the house. They were at the school saying, "Where's my kid?" That kind of stuff. That's stressful for parents. The parents were fantastic about it. But it was very stressful. And I don't have a radio currently, and we might want to get one. But so I'm not listening to the chatter, and I have to rely on a cell phone to call the bus company when you have a parent in your office or who's looking for their student, 3 minutes feels like an eternity. So those kind of things, those are some of the most egregious. But for example, they combined a lot of middle school and high school buses. We're now working to uncouple those and go back. We always had some, but go back to more segregated, I mean, by grade level, bus routes. That's kind of been a big blunder. And special education, transportation is always difficult. You have to learn the student, what their needs are. What do they need? A lap belt, a car seat. There's lots of stuff. Do you have to pick them up on this side or this side of the driveway? Because it's very nuanced, and it takes a few months to provide really good door-to-door service, knowing your clients. So that's always tough. Although I did get my first really good report today. The preschool started, which has pretty specialized transportation, and Joanne called my department to say it went very well. She was very happy. So I just don't want to sugarcoat it. It's been a tough transition. I still feel like we can get there, but it's a struggle. It's a struggle even every year with our existing provider or former provider, but it's harder this year for sure.
Questions, comments? You guys good? Okay, thank you. Just to keep us up to date on that for sure, please. Anything else? You good? Anything else from the committee? Okay. At this point, it's about 5 or 6. We'll be adjourned. Thank you.